Great.
Good.
We're good to go?
We're good? Okay. Welcome everyone to the January 20th meeting of the Board of Directors of the Orange County Partnership. We are in the Partnership's office in 40 Matthew Street in Goshen, New York. This is a public meeting and it is being live streamed. The notice was published in accordance with New York State Open Meetings Law. Do we do a roll call?
We do?
Yep, all right. Roll call please, Cassie. Mayor Beth. Present. Kurt.
Present.
Taylor.
Present.
Sandy Mathis.
Here.
Mike O'Connor.
Here.
Jason Giordano.
Here.
Nick Carnavisos.
Here.
Good. We have one.
All right, we have quorum. The meeting minutes for our December 16th meeting of the Board of Directors was previously provided to everyone. I know we have a couple of new board members who were not present for that meeting, so you will not be voting on approving these meeting minutes, but were the members who were present, did anyone have any comments or questions on these meeting minutes? All right, with that, I will accept a motion.
You got it.
Sandy, a second.
Kurt.
Kurt, a second. Any additional discussion? All right, so of the members who are present for this meeting, voting to approve these meeting minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Financial report, Greg Heckman is unable to be at this meeting, so we're going to have the financial report presented by Connor.
Sounds good. Good evening, everyone. Welcome Jason and Nick to the team. Happy to have you and looking forward to working with you. It's going to be fun.
Same here.
It won't be too painful.
Oh, don't make a commitment.
Like promises get
Maybe a little bit. So quickly, I'll go through our financial report. Thank you for Nick for helping us on this as you have for the last few years. But working capital, one of the most important takeaways from the balance sheet. Working capital is a measure of short-term liquidity. The formula of current assets minus current liabilities as of 12/31/25. The partnership's working capital is $695,905, and the working capital ratio is 8.3 to 1. Current assets and liabilities. So the partnership has $8.30 in current assets for every $1 it has in liabilities. Strong ratio. Total checking savings is $709,971 as of 12/31/2025. Total accounts receivable, $53,017 as of 12/31/25. $35,400 of that balance, or 67% of the total accounts receivable balance, are outstanding over 90 days. Now, we often have agreements with investors to pay an incremental payment, so that reflects a lot of the 90 days that we see. So the receivables older than 90 days are reflected in that allowance. But the team has confirmed we're going to get the entirety of the balance, roughly $35,000. That's over 90 days, and we've had a good week this week of getting it in. So good news all the way around. Private investments. So private investment through the 31st of 2025 was $873,073, up from $653,875, representing a 33% increase. And the largest increase by investor type came from the commercial contractors and attorneys. And that is a substantial increase in investment, and I attribute it to the team for really taking a grassroots approach to engaging with our people. I mean, we shuffle in our investors, our strategic partners at this table weekly, just to hear what are your pain points, how can we help you, what are you working on, so really try to remain engaged. And we've seen not only new investors, but folks increasing their investment across the board, and that's great customer service from our team. Net ordinary income, so using net ordinary income to net income to assess profitability, it shows a clearer picture. So our net ordinary income as of 12/31/2025 was $182,123, up from a net ordinary loss of roughly $400,000 last year, mainly attributed to legal fees as documented. So we have a 12% net ordinary income profit margin, which is strong. And then lastly, the annual dinner. So the annual dinner, the gross sales were $185,050, to which $34,000 of that was in ticket sales, and $150,000 in sponsors. Expenses rather were $97,000, and that is attributed to rising event costs and a higher cost per plate, which you see across venues across the county, and in the event industry generally. So our gross profit was $87,698 on the event, and then compared to 2024, which annual dinner sales were $131,000, and expenses were $87,000, which resulted in gross profit of $44,000. So we had a successful 2025 annual event despite some weather. So we had roughly 650 people registered, and it became, thank God we didn't get everyone because then you wouldn't have 650 people. So that was it for the financial report. Happy to answer any questions.
All right, does anyone have any questions on the financial report?
Sometime I'd love to see a breakdown of existing members versus new, not new members, but
Sure.
of the event money, the event investment. Is it like, what's the percentage of, they're already a member, they're just also adding on, or it's a kind of a combined thing you do, or whether there's new people, potential new members that are just trying to get some visibility in the event. When you
We
can.
break that out,
Yeah.
yeah. And we found that increasingly, folks are building a package of events, so they'll reach
Okay.
out to us early in the year and say, hey, here's our base membership, plus we want to sponsor these 4 events, because they don't want us to hit them throughout the year, so they build
Yeah.
this
They
package.
build one of
And
the
it's great for us, because each event now has a padding.
It's predictable.
That's right.
Very good.
Excellent.
Very
We've
good.
talked about this,
Yeah.
actually, we talked about it last year, I think at the golf event, about rather than having people have a relatively low member buy-in and then expecting, throughout the year, these different plugins. I know for my business, we wanna say it's X dollars for the year, and I'd rather do it all at once and know I'm getting my event exposure. I think a lot of businesses want that, or they wanna do the package thing, where they wanna say, my investment is X, and I want exposure at these things, what package can you get me, kind of thing. So I think that that's great, because it gives you the baseline dollars, rather than waiting, here's our event expense, and now we gotta make the money, and then, ticket sales are often profit on the top. So you mentioned there was about $35,000 in ticket sales.
Yeah.
That's usually over and above, right, cost among other things,
Sure.
so it's a good question, Sandy, it's good. As we talk about, revenue diversification, because, I think to date, we've had this conversation a couple times with a few new board members. To date, our revenue has been 100% based on the goodness of people's hearts and their belief in our organization, which is wonderful. But, having some diversified revenue streams where we have a little bit more, nothing is ever guaranteed in life, but a little bit more predictability with respect to those revenue streams, I think would be really helpful to the organization, especially as the
Absolutely.
organization grows.
Absolutely.
And to build on that, as you have other, say, clients, they're all clients at the end, is if the skill set to serve those client changes or has different things, that should provide guidance
Yes.
as Connor builds his team, continues to build the team, because there may be certain skills that he traditionally has not needed.
Agreed.
Maybe.
Agreed.
Right on.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that.
All right, any other additional comments on the financials? If there are none, we'll take a motion to approve the financials.
I'll make a motion.
Kurt, a second?
Second.
Second.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
there are a few there.
It's very popular. Any additional discussion? And with that, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried to approve our financials. Here, on to the president's report, Connor.
Great. So we'll keep it high level, but certainly a busy last 2 months, and it's great even traditionally in the economic development world, in the holiday, or any sector really, when the holidays kick up in December, things come to a screeching halt. We're happy to say in this office it certainly did not. We saw an uptick in activity across manufacturing requirements, new relationships across the state. So strategically, we've been really working to build, with the help of Sandy Mathis, really strengthening our regional relationships with Sullivan County Partnership, Rockland, Dutchess County, Ron Hicks, Westchester County, to an extent, to build this regional coalition to work as a collective unit to attract some of these substantial projects. Think what's happening in the semiconductor space, life sciences and biotech. We found traveling, seldom are they focused on just a county. Like, we could be Orange County, and we could be great marketers of our assets and facilitators, but when we can market and leverage our entire regional ecosystem, it's a more powerful value proposition. And luckily, we have great partners, particularly in Sullivan County, that we're working on a really regional strategy. So it's some exciting growth there. City of Newburgh, so I was happy to attend a swearing-in ceremony for what is now the deputy city manager, a man named Mike Nepple, who was the chief of staff, now the deputy city manager. And that's important because I think he is going to be the lead in economic development for the city, a city that's experiencing north of $500 million in investment across industrial and housing and infrastructure. So exciting times in the city, and was happy to be there. State of the state, so this was an honor to be there. It was a great experience. We got invited by the governor's office to be a guest of the state of the state. And we were also included in a press release from the governor that outlined her reforms or her proposed reforms to seeker, which is, as all of you know, is really it's the State Environmental Quality Review Act. It's the process that takes quite long for projects in housing or infrastructure, traditionally, really low impact projects, as the governor put it, with housing that shouldn't have been held up, that perhaps have been held up. So the process has been weaponized, as they say. So this process, the reform concept is really, for one, limiting the seeker review for housing and infrastructure, and two, putting a 2-year shot clock on any environmental review, which is a great step, because projects, it's tough to kill a project, but the easiest way to do it is just to drag it on for years and years and years. So this would put a statutory timeline on advancing a project, which is great. So
Can I ask you a quick question about that? That's not something she can change. That has to go through the legislature.
That's right.
So is she making this part of, like, how is she gonna get this done?
It's
Because
gonna-
I've sat on the last 3 secret.
It's gonna be
change
included
panels.
in
Is it here?
a legislative package.
Okay.
She's gonna
It is.
submit a legislative
Okay.
package for reform.
So great concept, the legs need to show up now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's exactly.
And it's been, having sat on the last 3 panels over the last 15 years, it's really interesting what people wanna go down on the ship on seeker. I'm always amazed at, and where people come out of the woodwork. Legislators that you would not think are affected by or think about seeker at all, somebody gets in their ear, and the next thing you know, the best idea that comes out is just killed. So it's gonna be interesting to see.
Absolutely.
Well, I think the point Connor made, most likely the opposition comes from those that enjoy and utilize the delay tactics.
Yes, yeah.
Though they're anti-development, anti-growth, those are the ones, and usually people that have relocated with a huge nest egg upstate, and or their parents left them a nice set of money and they don't want another car on the road in that country road they live
Yeah,
on.
exactly.
That's where the opposition comes from. You got new members that maybe,
Yeah, sure.
if they had any questions, because seeker, we've lived with it for a lifetime and it's painful, so didn't know if you had any questions more you wanted to just know about that, or you could follow up and kind of, I think, understanding seeker and how it's utilized and the obstacles it creates, like Mary Beth said, it is not there to stop, but it delays and costs more money. And they can delay it, and then there's litigation on top of that. When that's done, called Article 78, we can sue and say, well, you didn't do the right process on seeker. So there's lots of ways to cost, and a lot of times developers just walk away, is what happens.
More to come on that.
Yeah.
Sure. It's unique, you've heard it in the world, the development world, a negative declaration. So like a negative
Yeah.
declaration to a developing project is good. That means there's really no adverse environmental impact. But a pause deck is bad. It's long and hard to do. So it's just, half a century you haven't looked at the thing, now it's time to dust it off, so exciting. But the state of the state was great, and there was a small contingent of Orange County reps there, including the county executive and the mayor of Mayberg and mayor of Newburgh, so small but mighty contingent, and happy to be included up there. Additionally, coming up, we, as an organization, we try to do as many public engagements, speaking engagements as possible. That's the way we, spread our message. We build new relationships both locally and across the state. We had the pleasure of hanging out with Mike and the O&R team last month at Orange and Rockland.
Oh, yeah, give everyone an update of the county, yep.
Yeah, 100 of the top O&R engineers there. Name dropped a couple folks.
Yep.
Been saving that for a while. But all positive things. So coming up, we're speaking at the Pine Bush Skilled Trades Academy. And uniquely, this is a high school that's really revolutionized the way we have direct entry into manufacturing workforce. So now we connect Pine Bush, the high school, with manufacturers like UAP and Pratt & Whitney, where you see graduates graduating with manufacturing credentials and going right into the workforce. So we maintain a close relationship with them and SUNY Orange to build the pipeline. Additionally, I'll be at the New York State Economic Development Council conference up in Albany, which is our trade association. I'm proud to be a board member of the organization. So that's really the top of the 150, 200 economic development professionals in the state come together and discuss, top trends in economic development and relationship building. So it's a great conference. I'll be moderating a Orange County Chamber of Commerce Business for Breakfast infrastructure panel with Dan Depew from the CCA, Alan Sorensen from the county government, and a great person named Janine Greer, who runs a site contracting organization. And the timing is good because that leads into our next segue of this organization in partnership with the Village of Mayberg secured $26 million via the Fast New York program in New York State to build what we're calling now the Switchyard Terminal for Economic and Advanced Manufacturing, the STEAM Park. and the state liked the acronym. It's all, you gotta come up with a good acronym, that was half the battle there. So we'll be at the breakfast speaking about the value of infrastructure, and these dollars will really be spent to extend a 2-mile access road, water, sewer, utility infrastructure, clearing grading, the extension of a rail spur, so really infrastructure intensive uses to activate what will be New York's newest rail purpose business park. So excited to advance that initiative. And lastly, we have our our MVP breakfast coming up in March. And every year we honor, someone who is a partner in economic development who's had a lasting impact. We've honored great people in the past. So I would like this board to consider, and we need to certainly advance it as soon as possible, honoring Will Frank from the firm Bluestein Shapiro, Frank and Barone, for the principal reason, and we've had many names and evaluate lots of candidates, but Will has been an attorney, town attorney, real estate land use for probably 20 years, strategic guidance to numerous communities, multitude of economic development projects. So for these reasons, we think he is the ideal candidate for the MVP, so we'll ask the board to accept that later today. And of course, OCP events are this week. We have our QPM, January 22nd at Aspire Brewery. We have, Cassie, 150 people?
150 people registered.
Now, traditionally, these events run at like 100 to 120, so we're excited that it'll be elbow room, so to speak, but great momentum, and looking forward to it, and happy to answer any questions.
I just want to mention, you didn't mention the Associations of Towns meeting. You're also
Sure,
speaking
yeah,
in-
that's right, yeah, so I'll be down in New York City at the New York State Association of Towns Conference, where all the municipal officials come together from across the state, and I'll be teaching a class. Thank you, Sandy Mathis, for making a strategic introduction to Chris. But I'll be teaching a class on site selection and business attraction for communities. So using the case study of how we attracted a pharmaceutical manufacturer from India, Garanet Pharmaceuticals, to New Windsor, and then tying in some of the tools, including Fast New York, to really engage communities on the value of, the steps you can take to attract high-value projects in the pharma space and advanced sectors. So looking forward to that.
Kind of what day is that? Is that
That
Monday?
is- that's the Monday, yeah.
That's the Monday during the day. Do you know what time it is offhand?
11 a.m.
Good.
Would that happen to answer any questions?
Could Cassie send us all a link to the chamber event that
Sure.
the Superstars talking at? I
Yes.
want to make sure I don't miss that.
Of course.
No questions.
Because the panel is so powerful, I know I'm gonna learn something.
I know, I know.
Put that in my calendar.
Great, it'll be fun. So new business. So very quickly, for the first 2 annual board documents, you guys have been great at getting us the annual fiduciary duty, conflict of interest, code of ethics. If you haven't yet, please connect with Cassie. I think we're like 98% there, but almost there. And then same with the 2025 financial disclosure forms that come from the Orange County Board of Ethics. Those are, in our experience, painless. You'll get them directly from Kelly
Lavelle,
from
yep.
Lavelle from the ethics office. If you have any questions on that, let us know. We're happy to help you, walk you through it. But those will be coming down the pipeline.
One thing is, remember, you are filling it out as an unpaid volunteer member. The job you are filling it out for is that you're an unpaid volunteer member of this board. So when it asks you about your compensation, it's $0, because you're an unpaid volunteer member of this board. So it can be a little confusing, because I think the way the form is written, it's written for county employees who are doing something else. We're not employees of the county. So just, if it's confusing, a bunch of us have filled it out before, so.
And they're gonna contact us,
You'll
They send it to you directly.
Yes, they will.
and that's an annual thing.
Correct.
Yep.
You can write, you're gluttons for punishment. That's unpaid board members.
Mhm.
Thank you for that.
And I already explained to you guys that even though you weren't on the board last year, you still do have to fill out that financial disclosure form.
And with that, I'll hand it over to our chair, Mary Beth.
Okay, so continuing new business, we have received 2 resignations from the board. Sue Dean resigned from the board. Just quickly, for those who don't know Sue, she's the Director of Operations for McKesson Pharmaceuticals Distribution Center in Montgomery. In that capacity, she's responsible for the operational activities and P&L accountability across the facility, as well as inventory accountability and exposure to risk and loss for a high automation distribution center. Sue was on our board since September 1st of 2019. She served as treasurer from January 1st, 2023 through January 1st of 24, then as secretary through 24, and then as the role of vice chair all through 2025. We do accept her resignation, but with regret. Sue brought an incredible perspective with her to this board, and particularly her role in both the medical field as well as in advanced logistics. And I know she was a huge support for the organization and for Maureen and for Connor and the staff. And we certainly really appreciate her contributions, and I think we plan to continue to engage with her as we go through the future. She certainly, in her resignation, wished the organization well and every success. And then our second resignation is from Mike Gilfather. And it's interesting because we were going to note at this meeting that he'd been on the board for 10 years. But he was recently appointed to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York elected as a Class A director representing Group 2, which consists of banks with capital and surplus greater than 40 million and less than 2 billion. He'll serve a 3-year term that will end in December of 2028. And for those who don't know Mike, he's the president and chief executive officer of Orange Bank and Trust. And as I mentioned, Mike was on the board, came on the board on January 1st of 2015. He was the treasurer from October of 2018 through January 2019, vice chair all through 2019, and the chair in 2020 through 2022. And again, similarly, we want to thank Mike for his service and for his perspective. Our banking partners are incredibly important to the organization, and especially in the role as a community bank, a bank that is lending in the fields where we see economic development happening. He really brought an interesting perspective to us, and when I spoke with him earlier, this was last week, he said, "You have my phone number." So we can always reach out to Mike to get his perspective, but because we have in our bylaws that public officials such as this role are not permitted on our board to maintain our objectivity, Mike has had to resign, but again, we greatly appreciate his contributions to the organization.
Absolutely. Great.
You need a motion to accept those two resignations?
Do.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor of accepting these two resignations?
Aye.
Thank you. And we accept those again with regret. It is traditional for our board to authorize the organization to proceed with major events at different locations. They are, as Connor was outlining in our financials, major expenses of the organization. So the staff has conducted an evaluation, which I believe was shared with you, regarding local venues that have the capacity to host the various events for the Orange County Partnership. And we'd like to have the board's authorization for the organization to approve hosting those organizations at the Barn at Villa Venezia. As it turns out, that is one of the few locations that has the capacity to host the events of the size that the organization has.
I'll make a motion on that. First, I want to say this was a good comparison that was put together
Great.
by your team
All
on this.
Rebecca knocked down in the park as Cassie, thank you. And that also includes our golf outing at Outer Kill and Stony Ford for the express purposes of, for one, logistically, it's the only way it makes sense to run two courses, and two, from a cost perspective, it is the best deal for the organization.
Mhm.
So I'd include that.
Any other, we need a second.
Second.
Any discussion about the events? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mary Beth, I would just ask though, the annual meeting, if 650 showed up, I'm not concerned about the fitting, I'm concerned about the effectiveness.
Sure.
And when there's too many people, it's hard, okay? An event that size does not have to be where there's food. You can do catering that's more simplistic. I'm not saying a dinner, but maybe just keep your eye open for different types of venues for events. I mean, I always used to love to spread the love around. no criticism, the two venues that we use are spectacular. But you could do 1,000 people at that annual meeting if you wanted to. In fact, I almost think that's what it was at Anthony's, pretty close.
Probably.
850, 90, it was close. But I just think for that event, just think of maybe a different way. And maybe it's something that a caterer can handle but provides a maximum opportunity for the networking and the presentation. Just keep it in mind.
I will say we got some feedback, from people that because of the weather, because we were down several hundred people,
Yeah.
it was actually quite nice.
Nice.
Because
Yeah,
it wasn't quite so
right,
jam-packed.
exactly.
So I think that's good. We have talked a little bit about sort of the event and the event formats and different things that we do, so I think that's good feedback.
Absolutely, thank you for that.
As Connor mentioned, we do have our annual MVP breakfast coming up. And Connor outlined, after considering a number of different potential candidates, that the organization would like to honor Will Frank. And I'd like for a motion to authorize OCP to proceed with honoring Will Frank at the MVP event.
I'll make a motion.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion about Will? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Connor, would you mind just sending a bio out to the board? Because I don't know him, and I'd like to just learn more of his background. Thanks.
It's a great thought. We need to discuss, adding members to the, Audit and Finance Committee. Mike Ilfeather was a member of that committee. With his resignation, we have now dropped below the number that are required under our bylaws for that committee. So, we have a resolution, let's see. Okay, so we had discussed, adding both Jason and Nick to that committee. They both have with them, bring with them obviously experience in that area. And so, we have a resolution, effective January 20th to accept and appoint Jason Giardino and Nick Carnavasos to the Partnerships Audit and Finance Committee. We have a second?
Second.
Okay, so Sandy and Mike, any discussion?
Who's all on the board? Who's the, we have, Greg Peckham's on the board, correct?
That's right.
Anybody else?
On the audit and finance?
Yes.
Melissa.
Okay,
well.
Melissa and Greg, okay,
Yep.
And we have a minimum of 3.
okay.
So this would be, adding 2 more to get us to 4. And I think there's some value in that.
You guys just can't escape accounting.
Like it that way. Yeah.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, I think do we need a roll call vote on this, or do we just, no?
Yeah, we might as well.
Okay, so, Melissa is absent, I'm yes. Sandy?
Yes.
Ryan is absent. Gert?
Yes.
Greg is absent. Mike?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
And Nick?
Yes.
Alright, our motion passes. And I think our last thing is we have changed the schedule slightly of our board meetings. We just moved, we had, governance was happening in February and audit and finance was happening in March. We simply changed that to be audit and finance in February and governance in March. And the topics for those meetings, the February audit and finance would be at 3 p.m. on February 17th. It would be adopt the 2025 audit report, annual review of the procurement policy, annual review of the investment policy. That is due through ABO reporting on April 1st. And then we do have a board of directors meeting thereafter at 4 p.m. on the same date. which would be to review the 2025 audit report on the recommendations of audit and finance. And at that meeting also, I might as well add that Greg Peckham is gonna do an industry update. And then the meeting on March 17th at 3 p.m. will be the governance committee. We'll be reviewing bylaws and best practice and strategies. And then the 4 p.m. board meeting will be annual board of directors evaluation, ABO report to April 1, and the industry update will be Kirk Kaler. So those are the only two changes on the schedule. I don't think we don't need to, it's just more notifying everybody.
Beth, can I just ask her a question on the governance? When do you see, or you and Connor see, the kickoff of the strategic plan process?
So we actually had Connor and I are doing a bi-weekly touch base. We had our first one 2 Fridays ago.
Yeah, that's right.
So we have another one this Friday, and so we're actually talking about setting up that process. So a couple of things that we had talked about kind of in a more formal way. One was creating a strategic plan for the organization, which we've always sort of had a really good mission-driven set of activities, but we haven't had a strategic plan formally. So we've talked about formalizing that process a bit more, and we do need to get that. The goal is to get that started, in the first quarter here.
Okay.
And then the other thing that we've also talked about is diving a little deeper into that concept of revenue diversification and how revenue diversification can occur, under what structures, what is something that is an acceptable path to revenue diversification, versus what is something that maybe is not within the mission of the organization or within its purpose. So we've been also talking about how we will more formalize those processes. So we're a little nascent at this point because it's just January, but we those are both really important things that we certainly see initiating in first quarter and then really playing out more, I think more in a more fleshed out way, certainly through the second quarter of the year.
And that's an exciting board engagement tool. I mean, we want to leverage, Mike, your experience in utilities with our, accountant friends and financial advisory and construction, your connections in the Northeast, Jason. So it's really a time for us to dig in, not just organizational strategy, but looking at who the partnership is in the regional landscape and how we can scale our mission. So really looking forward to diving in with you guys.
Okay. So does anyone have any other new or old business? If hearing none, we'll move on to the industry update. Jason, jumping in,
Okay,
out of the gate.
great.
So we got to do this as first day as a board?
I know.
Yes.
That's pretty special.
Jeez, all right, and I was just, came back from Florida, so I really scrambled. All right, well, again, I just want to say I'm looking forward to working with the board. I'm excited to be on this board. For those of you who don't know, PKF O'Connor Davies, one of the nation's largest accounting, tax, and advisory firms, currently ranked in the top 25. Combined, we're about 1,700 professional staff and partners across 30 offices located primarily in the Northeast and Florida. Here in the Mid-Hudson Valley, we have 4 offices, Middletown, 2 Newburgh, 1 in Poughkeepsie. So 4 of those 30 are located right here in the Mid-Hudson Valley. Our PKF network, most people don't know what the PKF is in our name. It's actually a network. It's an international network made up of many firms, but it gives us access to 150 countries for our international clients. And as far as the industry updates, I mean, this is tax season we're going into, and I'm on the tax side, so I wouldn't be remiss if I didn't mention. We work with our high net worth clients on the new laws that are coming up in the one big beautiful bill. Whether you love it or hate it, it's here. So we'll be dealing with that on our high net worth individuals with some limitations that are coming through. Business taxpayers, everyone's excited for the reinstatement of the 100% bonus. But there is a new designation for qualified production property, so that's to encourage the construction or reconstruction of manufacturing, processing or refining plants here in the US. So hopefully that'll spur a lot of new investment in those plants, because now they can write them off 100%. Another area that we've been focusing on, it's not tax related, but we do have a cybersecurity team. So right now, the Department of Defense passed a new certification requirement for anyone that's dealing with Department of Defense, whether you're a defense contractor or you're just a supplier in the chain. You need to make sure that you are certified And we're one of 40 firms in the country that can certify anyone who needs that certification. So we've been working with a lot of our clients there, a lot in the engineering and the contractor side. And lastly, another area that we've been seeing a lot of uptick and change is in our outsourcing. Companies are having a hard time finding talent, as we all know, we're all short in every industry. So we've been providing outsourced services for businesses to help them in their finance accounting department. We can actually send in teams of people either on site or we do it remotely, help them with audit support, financial support, special projects, anything where they're falling short with their own internal staff. We've seen a lot of demand for that. So those are the main areas that we're seeing in our industry right now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The one big beautiful bill, you know, it's, we've seen, I just got back from the area development site selection conference in Florida, and there was two schools of thought. It was folks who were primarily running like clean tech projects through the Inflation Reduction Act, and then folks who are running with a lot of food and beverage manufacturers under the one big beautiful bill. And it was two very different camps, but it seems early, you know, so far we're seeing prospects talk about some of the federal headwinds, so it seems net positive so far.
So far,
Yeah, we'll see.
Interesting. Interesting. I just am curious, how did you guys get certified to be a certifier?
so we have a pretty robust cybersecurity team. The gentleman that heads it up has like, 30, 40 years in that industry, and, private, and came over to public. So we basically hired him, he built a team, and he's been able to get that certification done. It was a long process, it was not easy. Yeah, there's only, like I said, there's only about 40 in the country that are certified, and I think maybe 2 or 3 of us are accounting firms. The rest are not accounting firms.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, anybody, thank you very much for that. Anybody questions? Tracy? So thank you. That was a wonderful industry update, and they're always fascinating. I always find them to be amazing. All right, so we are moving into our next agenda item, which we will have an executive session. So I would like to move that we move into executive session. This is to discuss financial credit or employment of particular persons or the proposed sale or lease of real property because publicity could substantially affect the value thereof. Do I have a second?
Second.
Kurt, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, our motion carries. We are in we will, take a motion, I'll take a motion to move out of executive session.
A second.
I'll second his motion.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. There were no decisions made in executive session, there was no, discussion to report, and so with that, I will make a motion that we adjourn our meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.